Happy Wednesday, everyone. Well, not if you're Whoopi Goldberg, AKA Karen Johnson. Yeah, who knew Whoopi was a Karen? I thought that was only for white people, like Toyota Priuses and skiing. Roll it, Francis.
Good morning and welcome to The View. You all saw the news. Whoopi will be back here in 2 weeks. Okay?
So cute when one of their side gets punished. They sulk like they ran out of raw cookie dough in the green room.
Whoopi Goldberg just suffered a meltdown so intense, it looked like a scene from a tragedy. Except this wasn't acting, and there were no cameras yelling, "Cut!" Her lip trembled, her eyes welled up, and her gaze looked so dazed, it might as well have drifted into another universe. This wasn't just an emotional slip, it was a full-scale public unraveling. And what set off this emotional earthquake? None other than Greg Gutfeld, the Fox News firestarter known for mixing sarcasm with sniper-precision truth. He didn't just clap back, he dropped a roast so scorching it practically melted Whoopi's ego into a puddle on live TV. She tried to stay strong, gripping her seat like it was the last raft on a sinking ship, but you could see it. Her confidence shattered like glass under a hammer. It wasn't a stumble, it was a collapse in slow motion, and millions watched it unfold. The chaos began innocently enough. Whoopi sat proudly in her usual throne on The View, ready to deliver another dramatic monologue. She took aim at Donald Trump once again, throwing verbal jabs like a prize fighter in a silk robe. But then came the moment that flipped the room upside down. She actually compared Trump's presidency to the Taliban. Yes, the Taliban. And just like that, the atmosphere turned toxic. Gasps echoed, eyes widened. The studio felt like it had just been hit with a political lightning bolt.
So let me ask you now. We have a leader who has repeatedly demeaned women, wants to defund organizations that benefit women. Are these values really much different than the Taliban's?
I mean, well...
She asked it with that over-the-top tone she always uses. She's the moral compass of the world. But the moment the words left her mouth, the entire studio fell into a thick, awkward silence. Not because they were stunned with admiration, but because deep down, everyone knew she had crossed a dangerous line. And just when she thought she could move on without facing any heat, Greg Gutfeld struck like a hawk, spotting weakness. He didn't hesitate. He flew in with sharp words and a look that said, "You asked for it." Greg didn't just push back. He obliterated her argument with the force of a wrecking ball crashing into a shaky sandcastle. It wasn't a debate, it was a demolition, and Whoopi was caught in the rubble.
Yesterday on The View, otherwise known as Hell's DMV, Whoopi Goldberg asked how much different are the values of the Trump administration from the Taliban.
We have a leader who has repeatedly demeaned women, wants to defund organizations that benefit women, calling on the media to shut up, specifically wants to give preferential treatment based on...
While Whoopi launched into one of her dramatic sermons about injustice, Greg Gutfeld sliced through her words like a razor-sharp blade. He didn't raise his voice. He raised the stakes, exposing just how bizarre and twisted her logic had become. In a flash, the set of The View turned into a war zone. No cameras cut to commercial, no co-hosts jumped in to save her. It was Whoopi versus a tidal wave of truth, and emotions didn't stand a chance against the cold, cutting power of satire. Let's not forget, this isn't Whoopi's first time stirring outrage. ABC already suspended her once after she made jaw-dropping comments about the Holocaust. That moment wasn't just controversial, it sent shockwaves across the nation. She actually said, "The Holocaust wasn't about race," on a show that practically breathes racial commentary every day. It was a statement so reckless, so out of touch, it made people wonder if Whoopi even had a filter left at all, or if she ever had one to begin with.
The Holocaust isn't about race. No. It's not about race.
It's about
a different race. But it's not about race.
It's not about race.
What is it about?
Because it's about man's inhumanity to man.
Yeah, that's heroically stupid. Even for the view.
The irony was so thick you didn't need a knife. You could slice through it with a spoon. It was unbelievable. That last scandal hadn't even settled, and yet here she was again, detonating live on air like a firework in a library. This wasn't just another slip-up. This was Whoopi Goldberg unraveling in front of the whole nation. One moment she was delivering another sermon, the next she was emotionally crumbling like a paper house in a storm. Greg Gutfeld didn't raise his voice. He raised the temperature. With just a smirk and a voice full of cold precision, he delivered truth after truth like daggers through the air. He didn't hold back. He pointed out how she constantly attacks Trump with cartoonish outrage, while turning a blind eye to actual tyrants wreaking havoc across the globe. And how did Whoopi respond? With nothing. No defense, no counterpoint. Just wide, blinking eyes and deep, dramatic sighs that said it all. She tried her classic move, turning it into a sob story. Suddenly, it wasn't about the reckless things she said. It was all about how hurt she felt by Greg's words. The crocodile tears showed up. The voice wobbled, and her outrage simmered like an overboiled pot about to burst. The View used to claim it was a place for real conversations, but now it feels more like an all-caps group chat gone completely off the rails.
Ran down the hallway.
The rapture is here.
Rapture's here, and then also I learned that the cicadas are coming.
Cicadas.
Cicadas
Although I love
for the first time in
Cicadas
like
cicada.
No,
100 years,
no.
for the first time in many, many years.
No,
And so-
every 17 years this happens.
well, that's not what I read, but maybe, maybe
Well-
you know better. All those things together would maybe lead one to believe that, either climate change exists
That's one
or
of the
something
points.
is really
Except
going
Earth
on.
is returning. Earthquakes are not at the mercy of climate change. It's underground. It can't.
It happens, and the eclipse, they've known about the eclipse coming because eclipses happen, and they actually can say when these things are going to happen.
And Whoopi? She wasn't just part of the chaos, she was leading the whole emotional circus with a spotlight on her face and a script falling apart in her hands. She clung to her tired talking points like a drowning swimmer grabbing at a lifebuoy. But Greg Gutfeld slashed through every one of them with sharp, undeniable logic. The more he spoke, the more panicked she became. Her arms flailed, her voice climbed higher, and her eyes scanned the room in desperation, searching for support that simply wasn't there. Greg didn't attack, he revealed. His words weren't cruel, they were honest. And that's exactly why they hit so hard. He called out the hypocrisy that has become second nature to Hollywood's elite. When real women are being tortured across the globe, silence. But when Trump tweets something blunt, suddenly it's the end of the world. Then Greg dropped a truth bomb so bold it left the room in shock. He pointed out that radical Islamic regimes actually kill gay people and throw acid at schoolgirls. Whoopi looked like someone had hit pause on her brain. Her mouth opened, but nothing meaningful came out. Her only response? A weak, vague line about man's inhumanity to man, spoken with all the depth of a high schooler struggling through a book report. It wasn't insight, it was evasion dressed up as wisdom. The more the moment spiraled, the messier Whoopi got. Her words stumbled, her thoughts tangled, and each attempt to regain control only pushed her further into the spotlight of embarrassment.
No, let me explain. They said that their ovens had gone down, all kinds of stuff, but folks went and got them anyway, which is why I'm not telling you who made them. But can't be because I'm a woman, but perhaps they did not like my politics.
This wasn't a debate. It was a full-blown collapse. The same woman who used to dominate the stage with booming confidence now couldn't get through a single sentence without tripping over her own tangled thoughts. Even the camera crew looked confused, unsure whether to zoom in on the disaster or fade to black and spare her the humiliation. Her monologue crumbled into a stream of half-baked ideas, while Greg Gutfeld sat silently, wearing a calm smirk like a man who knew he'd already won without lifting a finger. She didn't need help falling apart. She was doing that just fine on her own. And yet, her co-hosts leapt in like stagehands trying to save a collapsing set. Joy Behar squinted into the void, looking like she was trying to read invisible cue cards underwater. Sunny Hostin jumped in next, tossing out a mess of overcomplicated words and hollow phrases, as if big vocabulary could distract from the meltdown happening center stage. But it didn't fool anyone. The more they spoke, the clearer it became. No one could save the segment now. What was supposed to be a serious political discussion had accidentally transformed into comedy gold. While Whoopi spiraled into chaos, Greg sat still, sharp, steady, and completely unbothered. He didn't raise his voice, didn't throw insults, and never got flustered. He just asked simple questions, exposed wild contradictions, and then watched as the entire stage unraveled into confusion and noise.
Yesterday on The View, otherwise known as Hell's DMV, Whoopi Goldberg asked how much different are the values of the Trump administration from the Taliban.
We have a leader who has repeatedly demeaned women, right? Wants to defund organizations that benefit women, calling on the media to shut up, specifically wants to give preferential treatment based on...
And it did erupt. The tension snapped like a rubber band stretched too far, and what followed wasn't chaos, it was silence. What made this moment unforgettable wasn't just Whoopi's meltdown. It was the sound of nothing. No clapping, no gasping. Just eerie stillness from an audience too stunned to even react. It was the kind of silence that speaks louder than 1,000 words. It felt like the entire room suddenly understood the truth. This is what happens when unchecked arrogance crashes into hard reality. And there was no script to save her. Whoopi always tries to present herself as the calm, rational voice in the room, but in that moment, she looked like the exact opposite. She didn't look composed, she looked lost, like a performer who forgot her lines on opening night. Her breakdown wasn't just uncomfortable, it was exposing. It stripped away the performance, the applause, and the fake authority, revealing just how thin her arguments are when the spotlight isn't cheering, but glaring. This wasn't just a disagreement. It was a battlefield where drama met reason face to face. And reason didn't just survive, it won in spectacular fashion. The fake tears, they fell flat. The sympathy circle from the co-hosts, useless. Because sometimes, no matter how loud the performance is, facts hit harder than feelings. Now, every time Whoopi gears up for another angry monologue, viewers won't be tuning in for wisdom. They'll be watching for the next emotional breakdown. And let's be honest, if this episode proved anything, it's that the next one is just around the corner. The View might still have a loyal audience, but even they had to cringe watching this unfold. If this is supposed to be America's go-to for daytime insight, then it's time to ask, is this really the best we've got? As the screen faded to black, one thing was painfully clear. The mask slipped, the throne cracked, and the self-declared queen of daytime debate just got dethroned in real time. And the weapon that did it? Truth, delivered not with rage, but with razor-sharp wit and calm control. Greg didn't scream. He didn't rant. He simply pointed out the obvious and let Whoopi do the rest. The more she tried to fight it, the deeper she sank into her own contradictions.